Okay guys, welcome back to Algebra 3. So last class we talked about multiples and factors, and we're going to use that today in our multi-step equations. You saw multi-step equations back in Algebra 1. I'm sure it might have been a hot minute since you've practiced with them, so we're going to do a little bit of a refresher here. I'm going to start with number 2. So what I always do with multi-step equations is I draw my equal sign. I draw a line through my equal sign, so when I'm saying left versus right, I can visually see what I'm talking about. So with multi-step equations, remember, we kind of want to look at PEMDAS as we start. So I'm seeing all these parentheses, which is what PEMDAS starts with, and I want to get rid of those. So whenever I see a number right next to the outside of a set of parentheses, that's telling me to do the distributive property, which means to multiply. So I have two different sets here. On my left set, I got to distribute that -5 across, and on the right set, I got to distribute that -2. So when I say distribute, I mean multiply. So -5 times 4x, which becomes a -20x. Then I have that -5 times that -2, which then just turns into 5 times 2, which is 10. Negative times a negative makes a positive. And then on the left side, so -2 times 3 is -6. And -2 times 6x is a negative or -12x. They're the same thing. Okay, so now when I'm looking at this, all my parentheses are gone. I'm one step closer. I always want to focus on the variable first. It'll make my life so much easier. So I evaluate which one is the smaller variable. Is it the -20 or the -12? Well, I'd much rather see a -12 in my bank account than a -20, so that means -20 is definitely the smaller one, so I have to go ahead and move him over. And opposite of a negative is a positive, or addition, so go ahead and add 20x to both sides. And the -20x disappears on the left. All we have is that 10 now. And we have -6 still, haven't done anything with him yet. And I can simplify that -12x plus 20x is a positive 8x. So now that all my variables are on the right side, that means all my constants need to move to the left. So that means that -6 needs to go over to 10, but for -6 to move, it does need to be a plus or positive 6. Good, I'm running out of space. So then I get 16x, I am going to go into number 4 because I'm running out of room. 16 equals 8x. And when I see a number attached to a variable, that means they are multiplying. So to get rid of that, I have to divide. So I always divide with whatever is with the variable. In this case, it is the 8. And when I divide 8 on both sides, 8 goes away from the right because it becomes 1, or just x. And then on the left, I just have 16 divided by 8, which is 2. Okay, and in this case, I am done with this problem because I solved for my variable. Go ahead, let's do numbers 1, 3, and 4. 3 is very similar to number 2. 1 and 4 are way more simpler. Don't be scared about the decimals. You can just type those right into your calculator. Raise your hand if you get stuck on anything. I'll be glad to help you. Okay guys, now we're going to deal with those scary fractions. Anytime I see a problem with fractions, it just looks annoying, so I do what I call busting the fraction. And what I do is I look at the denominator, so the bottom of every fraction, and I compare them all and I go, what is the least common multiple I can see? So for example, in number 7, I have a 4, a 2, and a 4. So I know that the least common multiple in this case will be 4 because 2 times 2 can become 4, and so then I would have all 4s. So what I do is I multiply across the board everything by a 4. So that goes times 4, that is times 4. It's hard to write small. And this is times 4. Lovely part is when I have a 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom, they go away. And I am just left with this 3x. Now, I have a 4 on top and a 2 on the bottom, but that is not scary because I know 2 can go into 4 2 times. So now that's just 2 times 3x, which becomes 6x, equals, I have a 4 on top and 4 on bottom, so those just go away. It just equals 9. Now this looks way nicer, no more fractions, and I draw my line through my equal sign. Looks like I have 2 different x's on my left side, so I can combine my like terms, and I get 9x equals 9. One last step, as we know, we always divide by that coefficient, so that 9, that's with x. So x in this case will equal 1. I know this one's going to be tricky, so I want to do one more with you guys. I'm going to hop over to number 8, because 8 looks a little different because not everything's a fraction. So in this case, actually, it's a little bit easier. Since I have only one fraction, that only denominator is what I'm going to multiply everything by. So I'm going to multiply the first thing by 2.8, our middle number by 2.8, and my last number by 2.8. Okay, so when I have that fraction, that's a nice little shortcut I can do, and just cross out my numerator and my denominator because they're the same number, so that just becomes 1, so I just get n. Now I have minus 4.9 times 2.8, so I just use my calculator, and I get 13.72 equals a negative 7.11 times 2.8, so again, use my calculator, and I get a negative 19.908. Draw my line through my equal sign. Goal is to get, in this case, the n by itself. So with the n currently, I have that minus 13.72. So I'm just going to go ahead and add 13.72 to both sides. Okay, and then looks like n is now going to be by itself. So all I have to do is negative 19.908 plus 13.72. Pay attention to that negative. Your answer should be negative 6.188. I want you guys to get some practice on this. Numbers 5, 6, 9, and 10. So the 2 above my examples and the 2 below my examples. I want you to go ahead and try those out. If you get stuck, please call me over, and I will help you get through it.